where are the kids? The kids are at schools, right? They're already there. So if marketing is not really your thing, I mean, go where the kids are. When you're registering at schools, you're getting the registration fees and tuition up front. So if it's $160 for 2 months, you're getting that as soon as they register. And then you're going to use that money to buy any supplies that you need. So I didn't have to put anything out front at all. All I had to do was design a flyer and the school distributed it for free.
Hi, everyone. It's Stefani, co-founder of the CCC, and we help people start and grow successful businesses teaching crafts to kids. Today, I've got Natalie here with me, owner of CKP STEAM Craft Club. Hi, Natalie. It's so nice to see you.
Oh, good to see you again.
So let's dive right in. Can you just give us a quick update, who you are and what your craft club is all about?
Yes, my name is Natalie Encarnacion. I'm here in the United States, outside Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia. I'm on my 5th year in business in general. I started with a preschool online and here by home. And then once I found the Creative Craft Club, I went ahead and added that as a program under my umbrella and have been loving it ever since. So it's a great offering that I've been doing in addition to my other education programs.
Awesome. And I chatted to you, it was about a year and a half ago, and you just got in at your first school to do an after school craft program. Give us an update on how schools are going for you.
It's going well. That program just exploded, and I was so scared to start it. But yeah, like the first session, I kind of overbooked it, but people kept scheduling, and the goal was to have 10 kids. In that first session, I had 16. And then the second session that I offered, I mean, we jumped up to 40 kids because our
Wow.
wait lists were so long. So at the same school, I had to offer it multiple days because still my sweet spot is that 10 kids because it's so interactive, so hands on. Anything over that would need an assistant for. So with 40 kids, I opened it up to 3 days a week at the same school with a different cohort of kids each day versus having like one humongous class. I was like, that's just going to be too overwhelming for me. And the experience probably wouldn't have been as great for the children. So that's the biggest it had been yet. And that way I could just get everybody off the wait list. I hate to keep kids on the wait list. But yeah, when I do have a wait list, I offer those families a craft kit so that they can do the same activity we're doing in class. And since it's in my school district, I would just drop it off at their house on like a Thursday, and then they'd have the weekend to craft along with us.
That's
Yeah.
amazing, Natalie. That's incredible. 40 students you see every week. Are you at that one school, or do you offer the classes at other schools too?
So this year we got invited by another school to come in. So I'm in a second location now with that school. Yeah, so happy about that. So the sessions are not running at the same time. So I'm focusing on one school at a time. So in this one, I still cap it at like 10, but the class size is a little bit smaller. But like the smaller it is, like the more I enjoy it. But yeah, so this one will have like 6 students in it and just keeping it kind of small. I got a little bit burnt out with having so many students before. So I'm welcoming that it's one school at a time. And it's just, brings the fun and joy back to it. But that's what I love about it is the flexibility. So when I'm gung ho, hustle Natalie, it's like just add more schools, make your classes bigger. When you're in more of a resting phase, you can shrink it, make it smaller. So it's just so versatile and so flexible to kind of move around with how your life is going in general. So I just love the flexibility of it.
Oh, that's such a bonus. Now, what
Yeah.
inspired you to teach at schools, and why do you believe schools are such a great starting point for kids' craft businesses?
Yeah, well, I love arts and crafts forever, and I see the benefits of doing it. My mom was a crafter, and I just noticed skills that me and my siblings had that weren't typical. So, crafting has always been something huge in my family and something that I've implemented with my children. That's very important, and you can tell and see the difference. And after COVID and all the things that went on, I could see, that there were deficits in a lot of the skills that kids had. And I chose the school that my kids were at because I was familiar with the administration and it's not so far out of my comfort zone. But I had thought about going into schools for a while and was just a little bit scared to do it. But the great thing is, like, we all know if you have a business, there has to be some element of marketing. It's just essential to get your name out there. So, after years in my preschool business, I know how to do some marketing, still don't love it. And I'm like, I'm going to spend a year going where the kids are. And I'm like, where are the kids? The kids are at schools, right? They're already there.
Mm.
So you're marketing to one school versus marketing to 100 people or 900 people or 1,000 people. You're marketing to like one person, which is the principal or the PTA. So it was just a win-win. I'm like, where are kids? Anywhere there are already kids is a great place to start because you're borrowing that know, like, trust factor from the place or business that you're in. So the school is a trusted facility. So they know that they're only going to bring people in to offer programming that are also trusted. So it's just a win-win. Like when I first started, like they didn't even know my business name. They saw my flyer. My business name was really small on there. They just knew it was at the school. So parents didn't have to pick their kids up and take them anywhere. So it was convenient.
Mm.
Those who need a little bit of childcare, it extends their child's school day by like an hour, hour and a half. And it's cheaper than going to a childcare or aftercare facility. And the kids are having a great time and learning valuable skills. Like it's just a win-win. Saves money, saves time. The kids are having a blast learning skills. And administrators are happy because they have somebody trusted in the schools to provide great programming. So it's just great. So if marketing is not really your thing, I mean, go where the kids are.
Absolutely, that's sound advice. And I love how you said that the parents already trust the school and they will trust the programs that the school brings into the school. So they automatically trust you. That is powerful. So many people in our community fear the costs involved with starting a new business. So how were you able to create your program without too many startup costs?
Well, the great thing about this is that when you're registering at schools or any facility that has kids, is you're getting the registration fees and tuition up front. So when they register, they're registering for the whole session. So if it's $160 for 2 months, you're getting that as soon as they register. And then you're going to use that money to buy any supplies that you need. So I didn't have to put anything out front at all. All I had to do was design a flyer and the school distributed it for free. I didn't have to pay paper. I didn't have to do the copies. They put it in the kids' Friday folders. The PTA emailed it out to the families. They put it on their social media. I literally, like, it took marketing off my plate completely. So yeah, so there wasn't a huge startup cost. Like everything was free. And so that's why I did it. Cause I'm like, well, if nobody registers, I'm not out any money, right? Like the marketing was totally free for me. If nobody registers, it's like, I'm not losing $500 like I've done on like businesses in the past when you're doing Facebook ads and things like that. You don't know if you're going to get a return on your investment. But if your investment is kind of zero upfront, like there's nowhere to go but up.
Mm.
So yeah, so then you use a portion of that money for any supplies you need. But if you're doing, following the CCC curriculum that's mostly recyclable materials, you're not going to buy a ton of stuff up front. Like start collecting your recyclables now. You can post in your neighborhood Facebook groups about your collecting recyclables. So they're easy to get. And if you can't get them, there's sites like eBay and things like that. But still, it's not going to be super expensive. So
Mm.
most of your supplies might be scissors and like maybe paints and things like that because the rest is recyclable materials and you've kind of outsourced your marketing. So very,
Mm.
very, very low financial risk up front.
Love it. Thanks for sharing
Yeah.
that. All right. So about some practical strategies. So how can someone approach schools to offer an after schools craft program if they don't, for instance, have prior connections with the administration or PTA?
I always check the school's website first to see if they have PTA information there. If they have the president listed, or sometimes they'll even have an after school programs coordinator listed, then I will reach out to them first. But one thing to keep in mind is that it's a volunteer position. So, half the time you might not get a response because they have lives too, right? When you have volunteers running it, they do the best they can, but they're doing it for free. So I'll reach out to the PTA president or the activities coordinator if it's listed on the website. And if not, you just reach out to the principal and you can reach out to both. But I would say the initial introduction is keep it short and sweet. I know a mistake that I had made in the beginning with my education program is that you are so excited, you start your email and you just pour everything, all the benefits of your program, all the great things about it. And then 3 pages later, you click send. I mean, think about receiving that in your own email inbox from like just a random business that you've never heard of. Are you going to take the time to read all that? It takes a lot of mental effort to, read and decode, decipher, and do all those things. So I would say keep it short and sweet. It's like, hi, I'm Natalie. I have this great after school program, STEAM arts and crafts program. Do you have some time this week or next week to chat about it? I would love to offer this at your school. So just short and sweet, like 4 sentences or less, like short sentences. I mean, yeah, the bigger response I get is the shorter the email is the responses I get. The longer it is, it's like crickets.
Yeah.
So just keep it short and sweet and just say what your name is, what you do, and invite them to meet. Hey, I can come meet with you in person, which principals are probably, they might prefer that a little bit more. But yeah, just, short and sweet. Put your website on there if you have it. If not, I didn't have it set up on my website when I did it, and just got them on the phone and just talked about it. So that's the goal, is get them on the phone or a face-to-face meeting, not through email.
Okay, good to know. And how did you get the school to approve your program? How did you get your space for free, the premises where you host the classes?
Yeah, so that's going to depend on your school district. And you can absolutely go to your school district website and look up, in my district, they call it community use. So look it up in your school district and they will let you know. I've seen some school districts that just reduce the rental fee. So I've met somebody who had to rent it for like $11 an hour for their club in my school district, as long as the principal has approved for it to come in, and it's after school, which means the PTA would approve for it to come in. The fee is completely waived. But that might not be the case in every district, but it is very, very common for it to be waived. And if it's not waived, they're going to reduce the cost because they want programs to come in and offer quality programming to their students. So they're not going to give you a lot of obstacles. They're going to help you because that helps their population of students. And that's the goal, is to bring in after school programs that are beneficial to the students and to the families and to the school. So they're going to do what they can to get you in there.
Okay, that's very helpful. And talking about costs and pricing and such, can you share with us how your pricing structure works?
Yeah, so I got my pricing structure from my school board regulations. So read your regulation. They're usually just like a page or two, maybe. They're not long. But in my school district, the regulation says that for an after school program, you cannot charge more than $20 an hour per student. So if your program is an hour and a half, then you can adjust that, to $25, but no more than $20 an hour per student. So that's what I follow.
Okay. And do you charge a registration fee at the beginning of the term?
I do not. So I just charge the max that's allowed, and that supply fee is just included in there. As a parent myself, me personally, I don't like a whole bunch of like extra costs that are separated out. I just want to know, how much do I need to pay, and I'm done.
Yes, I
So
can relate as a parent. Just tell me what I need to
you know,
pay.
just tell me what it is. It comes out to the same. So yeah, but I can, in addition to that, I can charge an extra supply fee outside that $20 per hour per kid. I just choose not to because I'm at a place where the supplies just aren't costing me a lot.
Okay, so you have 40 students at that one school who pay you $20 each per class. So if
Mhm.
I can do
They're
the
actually
math
a little
now,
bit
is that
more. My class was an hour and a half, so I actually charge a little bit more than that. Yeah.
so that's over $1,000 a week just for that one school?
Yeah. Hmm.
That's fantastic, Natalie. That's very cool. What did I want to ask? Oh, do you charge per month or per term?
I charge for the whole session. So if it's 8 classes, which come out to 8 weeks, it's all paid upfront before it starts. If it was a year-long program, then I would go with like something monthly. But if it's like an after-school program, most parents are used to paying that fee upfront, at least where I
Mm,
am.
mm.
And that eliminates the need to do any kind of billing stuff. Like I don't want to be a bill collector. I just want to have fun and teach my classes. So if
Exactly.
it's a reasonable fee, if my class comes out to be between $160 to $300 for that session, that's reasonable enough for some of the families here to just pay that up front. If it's going to cost $800 for your term, you might want to come up with some payment plans to make it more accessible. But I always offer scholarships as well because of the size of the club. Usually each session or each year I can give away 2 to 3,000 in scholarships. So I just try to make it accessible to everyone. And that's another tip when dealing with schools as well, as you can say that you are willing to offer scholarships or reduce tuition for those students who need it. And that if you make it equitable, they're more likely also to pull you in, because a lot of programs don't want to do that. So I do. I just want to make it accessible to everybody. So if you need a scholarship, I will give it to them. I will find a way.
Oh, wonderful. I love that. Very, very cool. So
Mhm.
you mentioned briefly about curriculum. Talk to me about the lesson plans that you teach at the schools.
Yep, I use most of them are the CCC curriculum, because it's kind of done for you, just nice and simple. They're easy to tailor to your own personal style. I also will tailor them based on the needs of the children. Like after like the first class, I kind of gauge, I have conversation with them, talk to the kids. I see what their interests are, what they like. After that first lesson, I can kind of see where their fine motor skills are, because every class is really different. So the one school that I had like three classes going at once, I would have the same lesson plan for all three, but I would implement differently because each class had a different skill set and they might have
Mm,
different interests. So it's like, it's not always super cookie cutter. So you just adapt. One class, the fine motor skills were a lot more challenging for them. So I adjusted it. I might have done a little bit more prep work or had them do a little bit more cutting to strengthen their hands. It's adaptable to what you need. So that's the great thing about it, is it's a great starting place, and then adjust where needed. You can make them seasonal lessons. So many of the lessons, it's like, okay, it's Halloween, let's turn this into a Halloween lesson. So it's just very flexible, adaptable. You can add your own personal style, or you can print it and go as is. So just very flexible. And that's what I love across the board, is flexibility.
absolutely. And do you find the CCC curriculum, do the lesson plans save you time?
Absolutely. Because a lot of times, like, we're all creatives, right? If you're doing STEAM arts and crafts, you're creative. And with many of us, we have 1,000 ideas in our head at any given time. So the hardest part is actually tailoring it down to come up with that one idea. Like, I could spend hours, like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. Yes, we could do all of those things. So it gets really stressful. You get decision fatigue. So that eliminates it for me. So it just gets rid of that decision fatigue, and you can come up with that one lesson. And then from there, now you can use your creativity to tailor it if you need to make little tweaks, or use it as is. I used it as is when I started because you're scared. So I would say if you're new getting started, just do it the way it's listed in there, for the most part, so that you can get your feet wet. And so, work on your emotions instead of working on other things. And yeah, that'll streamline it. And then as you get comfortable, you'll be a little bit more free with it.
Awesome. Would you mind talking me through a typical week or day in the life of Natalie, just to give others an idea of what to expect?
Yeah. So, like I said, I have other educational programs that I've expanded this year as well. So, last year was all about expanding Craft Club. This year, I expanded some of my other educational programs. So, I have a preschool and micro school. So, I have students from preschool age to fourth grade that come to my home for their elementary school education. And I have my Craft Club, and I have like a before and after school program in my home that I've shrunk because I'm doing the craft classes at the schools now. So, a typical day for me is, I'm usually up like 5:45ish, to get my middle schooler off to school. And when she's off to school at 7, I get started with, usually I prep at night. So usually I get started on my computer doing any kind of paperwork, administrative side that I need to do for my business. I'm fresher in the morning. I'm not stressed out yet. So anything that's like pressing or requires a lot of brain power is going to be done during that like early morning hour, to just make sure it gets done. And then, yeah, and then around 8:30, I start prepping for my students to come into my home classroom, and they start coming in at 9 a.m. to like 12. And then I have lunchtime with my kids. My kids are here with me. They get to enjoy all of my programs. That's another thing, is I take my kids with me. So I'm making money while I'm, doing these services for my own children. So I'm homeschooling my kids and other children, and I'm getting paid to do it, right? So when
Amazing.
we're done with school, we have our lunch. I get back on my computer to check emails or do anything I need to do on the business side. By 1 p.m., it's usually an activity time with my kids, whether it's a field trip or whatever we're working on from like, 1 to 2 or 3. And then if I have a craft class, then usually at that 3 o'clock hour, I'm ready to start, getting in teacher mode. I like to wear a branded shirt and, make sure I'm rested, that I've had snacks. and I start heading out to the schools to teach. And I'm usually home by like 5:15 p.m. Then it's dinner time with the family and hanging out. And after the kids go to bed, that's when I'm going to do a nice deep clean of the house every night so that I don't have to do it in the morning. But once in a while, I'll skimp on it. And then in the morning, I have to do it. But I've learned uh, do all that prep at night. I'm more of a night owl. I can stay up really, really late. So yeah, I'll just do any deep cleaning and set it up for to do it again the next day at 9 a.m.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a dream day for many, I think, that are in corporate and don't have much flexibility and much time with their children. So that's very special
Yes.
that you get to spend so much time with your own children and then impact so many other kids' lives as well.
Yeah, it really is a dream. I didn't think, it could happen. So when it did, I'm just like, this is crazy. But that's what we all need if you have a family, is like the flexibility is all that we're ever looking for, because kids are
Mm,
unpredictable, health is unpredictable, and you're making money while like having fun, which is not always typical. So I always have to remind myself to kind of sit back and, remember where you came from, because that was me.
mm,
It wasn't corporate, but it was federal government working really, 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 really long, stressful hours, and just having more say in how my day goes.
mm,
Like when I want to teach a lot, I'll just schedule more classes, schedule more schools. If it's a year where I'm like, okay, I want a chill year, and that's what I'm going for this year. I'm calling it the low demand lifestyle. I was like, I don't know what boredom feels like. I think I'm going to go for a lower demand lifestyle this year. I'm not
love
quite
that.
bored. It's low demand for me. I tend to have a lot going on, so I still have a ton going on, but it's low demand for me. And so it's just nice to have that flexibility, and then you can crank it up when you want and turn it down when you want, and just have that flexibility. If you need a cash injection to your business, then you can crank it up for the holiday season. It doesn't have to be ongoing all the time. So I like those little
Mm,
workshops and like pop-ups that aren't like always committing yourself for the whole year. So sometimes you
mm.
just want to do like a on the spot kind of thing. Like, oh, let's save up, let's do a holiday workshop or something like that.
I love that. Yeah, well done for creating a life that you love with so much flexibility and time for your kids. Well done for making it happen. So let's talk about overcoming challenges. So, what advice do you have for someone feeling intimidated by the idea of teaching crafts to kids in a school setting?
Well, I have good news and bad news for you, because that was me. The good news is, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because I was definitely the one, when I tried to teach online. Like, I'm the one that literally will faint, like, or have a panic attack on the screen. On the screen. So this is new Natalie. Old Natalie would literally like get lightheaded. Like, I feel faint. So the good news is you can overcome that. The bad news is that in order to overcome it, you have to actually like do it. There's not, you can't read books, you can't, do all this prep stuff. Like, the only way to actually overcome it is to do it. So that's the bad news. But you can do it, and you're just going to have to embrace being uncomfortable. Growth is sometimes really painful. And if it is really painful, that's usually a sign that it's something you need to do. Get used to talking to people. It's going to be uncomfortable, but if you want to get to the other side, it's really the only way is to do what you're scared to do, and just find like an easy, low key way to do it, which I love about the CCC Academy is, it helps you plan like a launch. That's a way where you're scared to go into school at first. So you can do like a soft launch with like your family and friends. That's a way for you to kind of get your feet wet in a more comfortable setting. And then there's those like me, where I just jump right in. So I didn't do a soft launch. I didn't have anything set up. And I just was like, let's see if it works. And then a week later, I'm like, there you go. So that's a way too. If you've been procrastinating for a long time, uh, sometimes you just have to jump right in. So for me, I just put my flyer out there to the school, and I always think that nobody's going to sign up. So I'm like, okay, well, classes start in a week, so I guess I better get going, right? So having that pressure for me is enough. So I always try to get students first before I do all the back end work, because that's a procrastinator for me. I'll get stuck in the systems and structures and all the stuff that like really doesn't make you money. Doing the class makes you the money. So once I get one student enrolled, then I'm like, all right, that's enough for my brain to kick on and be like, okay, well, we don't want to have to refund this money. You better make this happen. And then I just get to work. So that's a strategy that I use when I'm scared, because you're still going to be scared.
Yeah.
Anything new you do is, I'm still, this is year 5 of my business in general, and I still get scared. Offering anything new, you still get nervous. So you'll find what works for you, but all in all, like, the only way to get over it is to actually like do it.
Just do it. Yeah, that's very good advice.
Yeah.
So you touched on operations. Can I ask you, how do you manage student registrations and payments effectively?
Online. Everything needs to be automated, because if you're creative, these administrative tasks are probably going to suck the life out of you in general, because um, they're not sexy. Some of the back end business stuff is not like, ooh, oh my gosh, it's so lovely. But I will say, like, once you get it all set up, everything is streamlined. So, you want to have it. Anything that's going to streamline your business, you only have to set it up one time and it does everything for you. So I just have
Mm.
my one, landing page. And honestly, I just put my flyer on the page. Like, I'm not going to sit there messing with too many design elements if you don't have anything set up. I take my flyer and I stick it on that web page with a button on the bottom that says sign up. Like, by the time they get to my webpage, they already want to register. They just need some place to do it, because I'm the one that drives traffic there. So yeah, they just click one button. It takes them to the form to fill out, which takes them to the checkout, and they just pay. And then my automations will send them the confirmation email. It'll add a tag to them, and then that way I can just start the follow up emails. I do like to send parent reminders the day before each class. I'll automate emails. Hey, reminder, craft club meets tomorrow. Make sure you pack a snack and some water for your child. And I will send that 24 hours before each class, just to help the parents out a little bit, because I know how it is. It's hectic, multiple kids, multiple schedules. So they do enjoy having that little bit of reminder.
Okay, so you mentioned that the schools distribute your flyer. Do you have
Mhm.
the link or the QR code on there that take people directly to
Yep.
your landing page with the sign up button? Is that how it works?
Yep, absolutely. There are
Easy
some
peasy.
schools. Yeah, it's just keep it simple with the QR code, and the website's there for those who don't, know how to use a QR code, and it just goes out. If they share it online, they'll add like the link there. You can have the school. Some schools will offer to take the registrations for you, which is convenient. I would just say make sure you can get the contact information for the parents, though, because I like to do it because I want to retarget them. Like, if I'm teaching a workshop at a play center on a weekend, I can still retarget my class list, right? So it's important to gather that information from marketing later on in your business. But yeah, so some schools will say, we do the registration. That's okay. Just see if you can get the contact information of those families so you can retarget that later. But yeah, it really is that simple. Just keep it simple. I mean, if anything, you can even do a Google form, create a file. I did that initially, not for the craft club, but initially in my business. You can do a Google form for signups and give a link to your PayPal or Venmo and do it that way. It does not have to be complicated. So you just need a way to gather their information and to gather their payments.
Mm.
And that's it. You can take checks if you want. I prefer everything to be done through my online payment processor, because it's just easier for record keeping. And you don't have to worry about maybe a check not going through or anything like that, because I just don't want to be a bill collector.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right. Then another thing that stresses people out is the idea of carting supplies to a school and back and cleaning up and all of that. Can you talk me through how you transport your supplies and how you make sure the classroom is
Mhm.
clean when you leave?
Yeah. So for me, getting started, you don't want to spend a lot of money. So I was like, what do I have? So I went to my garage and we had a beach wagon. So that's what I used, our beach wagon. I wasn't going to purchase anything up front. Went and got my beach wagon out with the big, sand wheels. I'm like, I don't care. It works. And I would just take my supplies in that. And I always brought more than I really needed. But you're nervous at first. So you just want to bring like everything. And so I would also bring like tarps I got from like the dollar store. You can also get like painting tarps. They're like plastic. They're like cheaper and thinner. They're very disposable, like the painting sheets that painters use. I got that from like Walmart, I think, for a few dollars. And I would cover the tables with that, so that at the end of the class, if you use the disposable ones, you just literally wrap it up and toss it. If I use the tarps, they're just easy to wipe. I won't wipe them at class, but I'll pick it up and kind of dump everything in the trash can, because the schools have big, huge trash cans. So I just kind of pick up the tarp and, dump the stuff on it in the trash can, ball it up, take it home, and then I'll fold it up nice the next time I come. But yes, I would just cover the tables. Depending on the school, a lot of times the area is already messy when I get there because it's the end of the school day. So the school is actually using these spaces during the day and they don't have time to do this fancy cleanup after every activity. So a lot of times, like the space is already messy and I leave it cleaner than when I found it. So they usually love me. But always leave it cleaner than I find it. If it's already messy there, I'm going to clean that up too a little bit. Enlist the kids to help you with the cleanup. Like they help mess up, they help clean up. So it's not your job to clean up everything. They know, let's clean your workspace. A lot of times we're making our toys, right? So there might be one element of the toy that we made that they don't have yet. Like if you're doing something with magnets, I might have given them the metal piece, but not the magnet yet. So to get your magnet, you have to show me a clean work spot. So you can kind of do that, like to check in. Oh, did you throw away your trash? Did you put your supplies back in your cubby? And then they can come and get the last element that they need to make their toy like work. So
That is
that's a
so
way to kind of
smart.
enlist it. You can play music. Everybody pick up 10 pieces of trash. Help Miss Natalie out because they love you. They want to help you. Help Miss Natalie out. I can't clean this all up by myself. That's great. If you see the custodians there, talk to them. They are your friends. When I go to the first school I was at, those custodians won't let me clean a thing. I give them little Christmas presents. I tell them thank you. We're on first name basis. They know I've got their backs and I'm doing everything I can. I know my classes get a little bit messier, but they know I always clean it. So now they're like, Miss Natalie, no, don't clean this. Look at my broom. Look how big it is. I can do this in 2 seconds. Don't touch it. I'm like, okay. So I give them treats for it. If it's the holiday season, I'll give them a card saying, thank you. I really appreciate you always helping me out with my class cleanup. If you have the money, you can give them a gift card. I was giving out $10 Amazon gift cards to all the custodians and like some of the administrators for supporting your business, and that's all tax deductible. So say thank you. They will help you. They want you to come in. So anybody who helps you at the school, say thank you, give them a card. You don't have to give them gift cards, but it goes a long way. Just showing gratitude. It goes a
Mm.
long way.
Yeah, those are great, great tips. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Do you need any specific insurance or permits to offer classes at schools?
Yeah. Once again, make sure you're reading your school board regulation. I would assume you need liability insurance. The amount of that insurance might change depending on your state and your school district. In mine, it's $1 million. So I just went to where I have my home insurance and just said I need a business policy for $1 million, for the school board. And they drafted it up for me. Mine was $300. I've seen some that are closer to $200, but I just wanted to keep it under the same umbrella. And it's for the whole year, which is tax deductible as well. And they just give you a little certificate of, proof. I think it's called like a COI or something. And that's what you just email or fax or mail to your school district and they keep that on file. And then every year I just send them a new copy of it. So if anything happens, like you're insured, the school's insured. But if it's a public school, I mean, I would think any school, but especially a public school, there's going to be some sort of insurance
Mm.
required.
Doesn't sound too difficult. Just need to do your
It's
homework,
really,
right?
yeah, it took me an hour to get it once they told me. I was like, okay, it takes like an hour, email the insurance company. Like insurance companies want to take your money. They're not going to put you through many loopholes. They want your money. It doesn't take long to get. You just have to have that money up front. That's the only downside.
Okay, perfect. So let's chat about some advice for beginners. What's
Mhm.
the best way for someone to get started with schools?
The biggest thing is like introducing yourself to that school. Like if you're not quite ready to offer your club there, go to the school website and sign up for their emails. See what community, things are going on there. There's always like bingo nights, spirit nights. There's all kinds of activities at the school. So if you're really, really scared to reach out, go to some of the school events, go to their book fairs, get familiar with what the school looks like. If you don't have any children there, start actually going. If it's a public school, that means it's open to the public. So go hang out there, go to the events, go to their fundraisers. There's always a fundraiser or something going on. So attend those, the school picnics, so you can get an idea of like what it looks like, what the culture of the school is. I always sign up for the school emails or at least follow that school on social media because the kids love to talk about their day. So the school I have right now, my kids don't go there. So I wasn't super familiar with their school culture. But now I can say, hey, I saw that there was a bingo night on Thursday. Raise your hand if you went to bingo. How was it? Tell me about it. They just want to talk and engage connection.
Mm, mm.
Um, so yeah, so you don't have to do all those things, but it just enhances the experience. All parents really want are for our kids to have fun and have that connection. And when they come home talking about Miss Natalie knew about bingo and I told her all about that, because they're going to tell their parents everything that happened in their day. They know that we have a connection and I'm talking to their kid and we're having fun. So yeah.
All right. So I am through my list of questions. Are there any last nuggets of wisdom you'd like to share with anyone else looking to get started at schools with a craft club?
Yeah, just do it. It is hard. It feels uncomfortable. It will probably always feel a little uncomfortable, but the only way to get over it is to actually just do it. So even if you don't know what you're going to teach yet, you don't have a formal name yet, like go ahead and just send the email introducing yourself to that school. You don't have to offer it that session. You can just, send them an email and say next school year I'd like to. So you can build that connection even if you're not ready to offer your class there, because really, like, the more comfortable you get with administration in the schools, the more comfortable you're going to get offering it. So make those introductions, at least hang out with the school, if you're not quite ready. But if it's fear holding you back, you're just going to have to like jump right in there. Just offer it to the school. If they say yes, just start taking those registrations. If you're in the CCC, Academy Club, like, all the resources are already there, so you don't have to create anything. Your biggest thing is just getting into the school. So it's okay if you don't know what you're going to teach yet, what lessons plans you have out yet. You don't need any of that up front. What you need is students, because none of that matters without students. So go get the students, and then you can go back into, the website and grab the lesson plans and things like that. All of that's already done for you. The club already does that. So just make your introductions and get into that school, and just know, like, I was able to go to the back end and set up the actual class structure in less than a week. That doesn't take any time. So just really just get out there, talk to the schools, make those connections. If there's vendor fairs, schools always have, like, oh, we're going to have, a holiday market. Sign up to be a vendor and just do, crafts for the kids. That's a goal of mine, to get a little bit out there. I'm very introverted and I can be shy. So I want to do some vendor booths to get out of my comfort zone again and get more visible. So it's always a work in progress.
Awesome. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Your story is so inspiring, and I have an
Oh, thank
idea
you.
that if I talk to you again next year, you're going to have even more schools and more lives impacted. So well done to
Oh, thank
you,
you.
and thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me.